Hello, and welcome to Psychic Empowerment Part 3 Living in the Now. Now, in Part 1, we increased our brain power by simply turning off our television and turning on our mind, doing some meditation and sort of detaching from the matrix and getting to know our higher self and getting in harmony with nature. And in Part 2, we talked about how to increase our telekinetic energy, primarily by giving some focus to our body. Using clean water of a reasonable pH and absorbing ambient energy through the sun and the earth and live raw food. And the importance of energy work, not only for the acquisition of prana or chi, but also for the union of our mind, body, and spirit. Which brings us to part 3. We've touched on the mind and the body, and now we have to speak about the spirit. And if you have a problem with the word spirit, you could replace it with emotion. But for me, I think there's a spiritual aspect to performing psychokinesis, and that is a big part of being a human, is being mind, body, and spirit. So, dare I say the words theoretical, but that's where we're going to have to venture in this video. But I'll try to speak the truth based on experience in hopes that it'll help you. And this is really not going to be anything new, but perhaps the way I apply it to psychokinesis will be beneficial. But anyone who's been on the path of enlightenment, be it for just looking for ultimate truth or their life purpose or healing or empowerment or whatever reason you began down this rabbit hole, you've all heard many teachers and philosophers, the Deepak Chopra and Alan Watts and who else? Wayne Dyer and Manly Hall, Greg Braden, list goes on and on and on. But they all seem to have these 3 pillars of advice, for anyone seeking true enlightenment. And you'll all be familiar with these. The first one being, know thyself. And the next one, see if you can finish this sentence. Energy flows where attention goes, of course. And last but not least, live in the now. Now, these all seem like very simple concepts, and a lot of people kind of, they ponder this for a little while and move on. But do we really even know what these mean? Take know thyself. And that could be taken on a lot of different levels, from your anatomy to your psyche to your, that's a big thing, know thyself. So let's do a real quick little game. Play along with me, please, unless you're driving or working or something. If you're in a place where you can, sit on your hands right now. Just sit on your hands and get them tucked in there nice and good. Now, name all your fingers from shortest to tallest, including the thumb, of course. Can you do that? The old saying, oh, I know that like the back of my hand. When a lot of people, I've done this just at parties for amusement. People love stupid human tricks and things like this. But how well do we really know ourselves, Even our anatomy. Do we know how many organs you have or how many teeth or chromosomes you have? And chances are we really don't even know ourselves as well as we think. Perhaps you don't even know your own favorite food because you haven't tried it yet. Or you haven't discovered your greatest talent, or found your deepest desire. Truth be known, most of us don't have a clue who we are or how we got here or what the purpose of our life is or anything, So we've already browsed over Know Thyself and probably learned nothing. So we need to pay more attention to these milestones. They're there for a reason. But I'm not really going to focus on the know myself and anyone who's done telekinesis is familiar with energy flows where your attention goes. And I'm not going to, rehash over things you've all heard before. So I'm going to focus on the living in the now and how that applies to psychokinesis. Okay, well, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. So what does this even mean, live in the now? Of course we live in the now. I'm alive now, therefore I live in the now. Well, that's true for most all living creatures and organisms, except humans. I know lots of humans who live in the future, or some who live in the past, or some who live in the decade. Oh boy, just as soon as this prison sentence is over, my life will begin. Or people who live in the year. Oh, one more year of college and I'm out into the real world. Or people who live in the day. Oh, I can't wait till the day's over so I can go home and get out of this stinking job. Or, people are always living in the future or in the past. And the only exception to this is your body. Your body always lives in the now. And we can learn how to live in the now by observing our body. Our senses. For example, right now you can just get in a comfortable position widen your gaze, relax your gaze, and just observe everything that's in your vision and your peripheral vision, and observe as much things as you can see. That'll keep you in the now, because you are conscious, you are aware, you are observing, you are becoming aware. And that's what you want to be. Living in the now increases your awareness. We could do the same thing with hearing. Listen to what you can hear in your immediate vicinity, and then listen to what you can hear in the distance. Analyze what you're hearing. Try to understand everything. That keeps you in the now. Tasting will keep you in the now. Feeling. Now, feeling is a good one. I mean, we could do a really simple awareness exercise right now by doing a body scan, where you just move all your awareness to the top of your body and feel your hair, feel your scalp, and move down, and just, you can feel your eyelashes, you can feel the wind created when you blink, if you focus your awareness there. Doing things like this seem very simple, but remaining in the now is empowering. And not only in terms of like psychokinesis, but for depression, for healing, for things that we don't even understand, and for reasons that we'll never understand. But being in the now is where it is. This is where life happens, is in the now. And so often I watch people when they try to perform psychokinesis, they're not living in the now. They're not practicing in the now. They're living in the future. Or in some instances, they're living in the past when they've had success before, and they're referring back to that and trying to recall that. And they're not in the now. And it takes really, I don't know how to explain it. Anyone who does a lot of meditation knows what I'm trying to describe. You become the silent observer. I call it the one. When you experience that feeling of oneness, that timelessness, the neutrality, the unification, the omnipresence, all these words are just words, but this feeling that you get at a certain stage when you're the silent observer, that's you, that's your higher self, or some people call it Christ consciousness, or cosmic consciousness, or Buddha consciousness, or all depends on your culture. But there's all these names for this one thing, and that one thing is the true you. There's a saying, or perhaps I made this up, I don't know, the past never returns and the future never arrives. There's only the now. And that's a really deep concept that's very true. And when you're practicing psychokinesis, or anything, even, ESP or anything like that, when you're trying, that means you're thinking about what you want to happen and when you want it to happen and waiting for it to happen. And all those things are not in the present, But when you're present and you're just open and empty and present and observing the now, how things just pop into your mind. You'll think of something that, you'd be struggling to think of something, and you stop trying to think of it, and boom, it pops into your mind. That is the power of now. And that's the place we need to be when we practice psychokinesis. I keep saying we. I should say that's the place I need to be when I practice psychokinesis. It could be different for other people, but I'm just speaking for myself. And that's part of the reason, I don't know, maybe you've noticed in some of my videos, like when the target moves, I seem to be non-responsive. And that's because I'm remaining in the now. And of course, in the now, that target moving was in the past, and that's not what I'm experiencing. So it's a weird sort of detachment thing that I do. And it's not like, detachment's not a good word. It's more like attachment, because you become attached to everything all at once. Therefore, you experience everything simultaneously. There's no time for reactions. Reactions happen after the fact. And if you're living in the now, there's really no reaction. Okay, yeah, the more I talk, the more I realize this is probably about clear as mud. But it really does transcend the English language. And those of you who have done a lot of meditation or have had some success performing psychokinesis already have a taste or feel for what I'm trying to describe. This silent observer that's in a timeless place that is unified with all things. It really sounds so abstract and new agey. I don't even like hearing myself say it, but I thought this would help. If you guys are trying to do psychokinesis, try not to live in the future, in anticipation, and try not to live in the past regretting that it hasn't moved in the last 5 minutes. Remain in the now. remain open, and you can do this. All right. I hope this was helpful, and stay tuned for part 4. This is Trebor 7. Good day, God bless, and namaste.